Should I pull this down?
The following presentation is brought to you by the Alberta Podcast Network. Welcome to the Northern Nerdcast, the podcast that showcases the geeky, nerdy people, groups, and events in and around the city of Edmonton. Northern Nerdcast is a proud member of the Alberta Podcast Network, powered by ATB. Visit their website at albertapodcastnetwork.com. If you like the show, we invite you to share it on all of your social media platforms and help grow our community of geeky, nerdy people, groups, and events in and around the city of Edmonton. Would you like to be a contributor to the show? For more information, visit our website at northernnerdnetwork.com. And now, here's the host of the show, Dan Schessel.
All right, so welcome back once again, everyone, to another edition of the Nerdcast. My name is Dan Schessel, and on today's edition of the Nerdcast, we have no Chelsea today. No, Chelsea is not here with us, sadly enough, but we do have Trina, my lovely wife. You cannot wave to the podcast, folks.
Hello, podcast. I'm waving to all one viewer we have on YouTube.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just going to try to adjust her microphone at the same time I'm talking into my microphone. See?
Multitasking.
Woo. All right. So today also on the show, I'll let you guys introduce yourself. The fine folks from Androids and Assets. We have.
My name is Marshall.
And I'm Steven. No last names. We just don't have them.
They don't exist.
You're
It's just Marshall Steven.
Ever since I was young, I really admired Cher, and I just thought
mononyms. This is the term.
Madonna.
Yeah.
Prince.
Exactly.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah. All right. So we're excited to have you guys with us tonight. We're going to talk a lot about Androids and Assets a little bit later on in the show. But first off, we'd like to really get down to the soul of the people that we have on our show each and every week by asking each individual on our show what is on their geek shelf. So I'm going to start with Marshall here. What's on your geek shelf?
On my geek shelf. Well, right now, a week ago, the Hugo Award shortlist was released. So reading all of the novels on the shortlist is on my geek shelf right now. I'm actually part of a book club, the Hugo Award Book Club that we do. So it's you can find our posts, our blog posts at hugoclub.blogspot.ca, where we review some of the books and talk about them. So there's a group of us that get together and talk about all of the Hugo nominees. So right now I just finished reading Collapsing Empire by John Scalzi, which is a really cool book set in the future where we travel through space, through like wormholes, and the wormholes are closing, and humanity is kind of in trouble. So,
Cool. Do you have a favorite so far that you've read?
New York 2140 by Kim Stanley Robinson is my favorite. So there's 6 books that make the shortlist. We read 3 of them as a group before the shortlist was out, which was really cool. So we're ahead already. So now I've read the 4th, 2 more books to go. And then August, the awards come out. So we've got lots of time to do it. Normally it's like last year we were scrambling to finish the books just before the deadline, voting deadline and everything. So New York 2140, though, obviously set in New York in 2140. Rising ocean sea levels have drowned most of the city. So it's people kind of figuring out how to live, and kind of a story of regular people taking power back from the banks and corporations. And yeah,
Cool.
Great book.
That's awesome.
Yokio.
Yeah.
I was looking at our bookshelf lately. My section of the books are fairly small. I don't read a whole lot of books. I look down below the shelf below. My kid is way outpacing me in the amount of books he reads.
Yeah, but his are all like graphic novels.
Yeah,
There's nothing wrong with graphic novels.
No, there isn't.
But they take a little less time than the novels you have on your shelf.
This is true, but he is starting to read actual novels.
Kid novels.
He's still doing really well for what he's doing. He's 8 years old, for heaven's sakes. Yeah, so his shelf is just jam-packed one end to the other now with all the books that he's read. And I remember I took him today actually to go to the car wash, and really we just went through the automatic car wash, so it really wasn't all that exciting. But I had him in with me anyways, and all he did was read a book. That was it.
Yeah.
So I know he's gonna probably continue that. He loves reading. That
Not
boy
even
loves reading.
captivated by the mechanical arm that will one day make employment impossible for him.
Yep.
All right. Steve, what's on your shelf?
My utter inability to prepare. No, I guess we'll do the books. So I'm playing Sonic 2 right now. So I have a Sonic 2 emulator load up my computer. It's taking what little free time I have. And I just read Yasha Levine's nonfiction book, Surveillance Valley, which is a very kind of compelling history of the internet. And he kind of lays out how surveillance has been kind of baked into the architecture of the internet itself. And that, kind of challenging how we think about the internet and society and how to cultivate openness meaningfully in the face of militarism and the security state.
Oh.
That is a lot heavier of a book than I would have.
It's very short.
They don't want you to kill yourself.
Yeah. That's awesome. So okay, that's great. So Trina, I'm gonna ask you because you're not usually on my show very often. I'm super excited that you're here though. Just tell me a little bit about your week. What's been going on? Anything interesting?
Not much.
Anything even past your week that you've been up to?
Not much. It was spring break the week before. For us, it ended on Wednesday. So I had kids at home and we did kid stuff. That was about it.
That's so exciting.
It was not exciting. We had a very relaxed spring break.
It is great. Like I've been at home the last little bit, right? So it was nice to be able to spend the last little bit of the spring break with Nehemiah and Malachi, and it was great to be home for the last little while. Sadly, I'm going out of town in the next little bit and leaving you all alone.
Yeah.
It sounds like she's used to it.
Yes, I will be taking this show on the road.
To lovely Lloydminster.
Such a I booked was it Airbnb the other day for Lloyd, and it after I had booked it, it said you're going to Lloydminster, and it just like had it in just giant bold letters, and it was like excited, like it's got the exclamation. I'm like, that's not
exciting.
It's exciting.
Read your audience, Airbnb. Come on.
I honeymooned not far from Lloydminster, so
it might be fun if you were going there for pleasure or for another reason, but not for work.
It's not even fun when you go there for pleasure.
There's nothing pleasurable.
Sorry, anybody
There's
from
nothing
Lloydminster.
pleasurable about it. It's just frustrating because you're like, I'm on one side of the border, I'm on the other side of the border. There's taxes on this side. There's different things happening on this. I don't know what's happening.
What time zone am I in?
What time zone? Yeah, we're in the same time zone now, aren't we?
I think so. I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know. I can't remember.
Depends on which side of the daylight savings time.
Yeah.
well, they don't experience it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, they don't do it. I think we're on the same time now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's terrible. It's awful. Who
It
knows?
is one of my favorite shows when I was young was A Walk to Remember. And in Lloydminster, you can recreate one of those scenes by being in two places at the same time, straddling the border.
Yeah. Nice.
There we go. That's what I'm gonna have to do.
It's quite a confession.
What's wrong with A Walk to Remember?
The sparks.
That's awesome. So yeah, that's
I can be
that's
concerned
gonna
about
happen in
lots
the
of
next little bit. What else? I also had some guys. I had the guys over the other day. We played a little bit more of the Gloom Haven. Have you guys heard about this?
Gloom Haven is fun.
We're just starting our campaign. I just hit my second level now, so I'm super excited. We're starting to move a little bit long, and as soon as you kind of get into the game, I have to leave.
Yeah.
That's the way it's going to work here. So
I don't have it
I'm-
myself, but my friends have it, and we've joined in on a couple of quests for them. It's been great.
yeah, I'm super excited to try some more of it and try to delve more into that world. It's kind of neat because it's like playing D&D except for without having the GM there. It's kind of neat. It's a great experience so far. So good. Yeah, super happy with that game. I haven't had Scythe out yet. The last little bit. I want to get that one back out on the table. That's such a pretty game, but I may take those minis on the road with me and finish painting them. I may have extra time on my hands. Who knows? All right. So we're gonna take a quick little break here.
Are you gonna ask them how their week was?
Typically we don't, but
we don't. We don't
No.
care how our guests' week were.
no, we do. Well, I
Oh,
do.
We don't talk to them week to week.
No.
Is that the idea?
Yeah. That.
Yeah,
Thanks, dear. I know she's been
Sorry.
on. We used to do this all the time, right?
I think is how I'm the producer and all.
Yeah. No, we're gonna skip that right now. We're just gonna go
Alright.
straight into the ad, and then we're gonna talk a little bit more about androids and assets, which they can tell us about their week at that time.
Because we started this week.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna take a quick little break. We're gonna talk a little bit about what are we talking about? I had it.
ATB.
It is ATV. Okay, cool. All right. So we are I'm gonna turn that down a little. One of our sponsors here on the Northern Nerdcast is ATB. And we absolutely love ATB. We use ATB as a branch. Trina, can you tell me a little bit about your experiences that you've just recently had with ATB?
Well, we went in the other day to change our banking around, but we set up a second checking account and linked your card to it, and then I tried to use my card and it didn't work. So I went back in, and the nice people at ATB helped me get a brand new card and set it all up right there in the branch, and I was on my merry way.
They're like, every time I go in that ATB, like they're super nice. They are like absolutely super friendly, and they're fantastic. I can't say enough about them. They also have this thing where they like to listen to you, the folks out there, by just hearing from you guys helps them become a better bank. So if you guys go on over to ATB Financial or atb.com/listens, you guys can talk to them, and they can actually help you out. They can find out if you need something. It's a great way to communicate with ATB directly, and it's just awesome to see that they are actually listening to you, the consumers. So go on over to atb.com/listens for more information about that, and that is all. All right. On today's episode, we do have androids and assets with us tonight. For those out there who are completely unfamiliar with what you guys are or what you guys do, can you quickly do the footnotes of what you are?
Yeah. Okay. So when we were talking about starting our podcast, we were just sort of spitballing and came up with the idea to do the political economy of speculative fiction. Which then, whenever I said that to anybody, they'd be like, "That sounds really cool. What does it mean?" So,
What does it mean?
That's a very good question. Thanks for asking. We talk about the economy and sort of the political systems and the hidden things that are in the stories that we read and the movies that we watch. Because every time that you see a new world, there are some assumptions that go into that world, and you just have to kind of roll with that's how the world works. But it tells you a little bit about what the author is thinking and how they think our world works. So when you watch, say, like The Lord of the Rings, the implicit assumption that Tolkien has is that a monarchy is a good thing, and that the only way to actually save the world is to have the king come back and actually be the king, right? The king of Gondor, right? Aragorn. When there was the steward of Gondor, there was problems.
You know, that's an excellent question, Aaron. Thank you so much for bringing that up. You know, we thought we'd get it. It's actually been surprisingly. Aaron just asked us about post-scarcity economies.
One of my favorite topics.
Which we love, but it's strangely absent from the discourse.
I don't know about that.
At least with what we've been covering. I don't know. We haven't pulled a lot of post-scarcity.
You won't let me talk about Star Trek.
Well, yes. You talked about Star Trek twice now.
I believe we talked about Star Trek when I was on the show.
My definition of political economy is how a group of people or a society makes decisions about how to use their resources and capabilities. That's really my so really we're just discussing how do various science fictions try to wrestle with the question of what do we do with what we have. And when you have, and that question becomes very different in a post-scarcity economy, right? So this notion of you can produce so much stuff and you have so much energy and so much capacity that there's no point to even measure it. There's no point to like charge for it with money anymore. So, yeah. And that question doesn't go away. It just takes on a profoundly different connotation, I guess. Is that fair?
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. That totally makes sense. I'm totally on board right now.
Mostly it means that we go and watch a lot of movies and then tell each other what we thought about those movies.
Yeah.
And you guys go into a depth that most people don't go into. That's at the end of the whole roundabout way of what you guys were going after there. A lot of people just kind of go, okay, this movie was good for these reasons or whatever. You guys go into this is good for this reason, and it goes more into the either the political or this. I don't know how to explain that better. Do you know what I'm trying to say here?
Nope.
So the case study for me is we did an episode about Neil Blomkamp's Elysium recently, and someone messaged me afterwards and like, that is a terrible movie. And I agree. I think it's a terrible movie. But if you listen to it, we don't really get into that because we're not into evaluating whether it was a good movie or not a good movie. We're interested in the themes that were crammed in there. And a lot of interesting themes were put into Elysium, despite its tremendously poor execution as a film.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a review show. It's
exactly.
We try not to be.
He's
we
trying
are
not
frail
to.
humans, and we editorialize and fall short, but we try to be.
So, what kind of things have you guys covered over the last? How many episodes have you guys had?
21, I think 21 that are published.
Yeah.
So, what kind of things have you been able to cover over the last after the last 21 episodes?
Let's see. Well, our last episode was A Wrinkle in Time. So we were talking about sort of, well, I mean, it's what A Wrinkle in Time is about and the nature of evil. So we were talking about sort of how, what is the evil that they talk about in the movie, the bad it. And Stephen sort of pointed out that it's your own.
It's a psychological phenomenon almost, right? And so it's just a sort of sense of like narcissism and ego are kind of the central villain in A Wrinkle in Time.
Yeah, they drive you to treat other people poorly. You know, you're worried about your own image, so then you make other people feel bad because it makes you feel slightly better. But that's a bad way to go about feeling better about yourself.
And that the tension between like self-centered or selfless-centered or some sort of understanding of yourself and your place in the world has social implications. So I think for us, and I think the other thing we talked a lot about in Wrinkle of Time was gender.
Yes, a lot of gender roles.
Gender and race is also kind of like important. So we really like to get into that as well. That those are themes that are present in all movies. Actually, all movies end up really taking a position on on race and gender.
Yeah,
you can't not. So that's always something we talk about or try to talk about.
Yeah.
The funny thing about that particular movie is when it was written as well, right? Because that one wasn't written recently. That one's been around for a while, has it not?
Yes.
In
well, I mean,
1950s, right?
Yeah, Madeleine L'Engle, long time ago. She was really quite prescient, though, in the themes she was writing about. Yeah, I mean, they applied to her time, but I think they apply even more now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we talk in the podcast about Camus and kind of what the structure of that is. And at the time, Camus was broadly interpreted as being a reference to communism. But I think when you transpose that planet, that setting, out of that story and into our present time, it actually has tremendous bearing on our feeling, our desire for security and control of our environment in these uncertain times. And yeah, I think that it is more powerful now than I think it was when you put it in that context. And then I think we also got into some parallel text, some interviews with survivors and stuff that question that attribution to communism.
Yeah,
when we talk about Camus.
Oh, you guys really go deep into
yeah. Sorry.
Definitely a different way to watch a movie, hey, with that kind of in mind, that you are picking up all this kind of subtext and then hashing it all out afterward. Do you find that you have to kind of go into a movie like watching it differently than you would if you were just to go in and watch it for fun?
Yeah, for sure. Lots of times, I mean, especially now that we've been doing the podcast, when I go to see a movie, I do try to think about it a lot while I'm watching it. Because it is really easy to just sort of sit back and enjoy the movie and not. I mean, these movies they're really well done. They're beautiful to watch, and it's easy to just sort of get absorbed in it, which is what they want, right? As a storyteller, you really want someone to just sort of enjoy what you're doing as you're doing it, and that's kind of the point for them. But it's easy when you're just absorbing it to not think about what you're absorbing and just sort of have those ideas permeate and stew until you also have those ideas and you don't even know why you have them anymore.
And fundamentally, it's about intention. It's about what you go into something looking at it for. So I think for a lot of people who are like, if anybody wants to do this in their own life, they can very easily. They just need to form the intention to do so beforehand. Say, I'm going to go in and I'm going to question this.
It's like high school English class where they
exactly.
read a novel and pick it apart.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and that's sometimes how we describe this as well, is that it's more of a media literacy podcast than it is like a movie review podcast. We're saying, here's when you're watching media, here's a way to think about it so that you're actually thinking about it.
That's a good way to put it.
So let me ask you guys, doing this podcast, doing these like movies and books, how has that changed your opinions of maybe life and general opinions on politics?
For me, it has reinforced the importance of money and currency, because that's just something that has. I mean, Marshall's an economist by training, and for me, that this has come really into the forefront. That like, holy man, the way we think about money and it's what it is and its uses, that's really important and becoming more and more important all the time in the realm of cryptocurrency. And like we see this kind of like insanity just around blockchains and cryptocurrency to the point where, like it blows my mind. And talking to Marshall about it more and more and looking at kind of its coordinates in fiction, it almost seems conspiratorial. That, and I feel bad for people who are investing, particularly now, post December, because I don't know what's going to happen with that.
Oh, that's fantastic, Aaron.
Aaron, you want to read Aaron's comment?
Yeah, the listeners can hear.
Oh, Aaron said future economics is something he thinks about a lot, and he volunteers for the Canadian Nuclear Society, teaching nuclear energy to junior high kids.
Cha-ching.
Which, I mean, future economics, amazing, and nuclear energy, it's so cool.
We have huge sympathy for nuclear power, and we see it as an absolutely essential part of moving things.
Yeah, fusion's right around the corner.
Yeah, or fusion or whatever, but we have to, nuclear is the only technology that can avert complete ecological disaster, unfortunately. And it is.
And we see it in science fiction all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I typically on the show we don't usually have political stances. However, on today's episode, I think this is one of those rare occasions where we'll step out that bounds. I know for myself personally, nuclear energy is one of those things where I would definitely love to see more of it, especially out here. I'm kind of saddened by the state of which people who are out there and their opinions on it. To
some extent, there has been a public relations disaster with nuclear, and I think part of that has become in the early days because of nuclear power's history as both a military establishment and as a Gilded Age robber baron power company history has become poisoned deeply. And because the way that technology was introduced to people in a very horrific and disingenuous and irresponsible way, it has tarnished it in a way that is very hard for it to recover from. And people's distrust of nuclear power is, unfortunately, to some extent deserved, because continuously we see people misusing nuclear power, and primarily in the continued use of water reactors. Mm-hmm. So Chernobyl was a water reactor. Fukushima Daiichi was a water reactor. 3 Mile Island, I think, was a water reactor. I'm pretty it didn't blow up, but so there's anyway. We won't get too much into the politics of this, but there are huge issues, and it's all very. It's got a long way to go, but yeah, I think by people just starting to start the conversation, we'll begin to see it in a new light. And I think if we see the role of government increase in it, if we have a very clear and transparent and organized, it's graphite moderate. Okay.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, I stand corrected. Thank
Aaron
you.
is our nuclear energy expert here on the podcast. He is definitely he is our one true fan and nuclear energy
aficionado.
That's his thing. That's so we do love him for that.
And we could talk about reactors all day, but we really shouldn't. So
that's awesome. So let me ask you, when you guys first started the podcast, what was that moment for you that was sort of that tipping point, like, hey, we should really do this. We should really go out there. We should actually put our voices out there, put our opinions out on the internet in such a way. Like what was that moment for you guys? What was that like for you guys and starting your podcast?
I have a version of I know what it was for me. We were talking.
I can hear both of them. Like it'd be great if you can each tell me your guys' side of the story.
We were talking about Lord of the gold coins in Game of Thrones, and for me that was when I was like, holy shit, this could be a thing. What was it for you?
I don't know. It's a good question. It's tough. I don't know. I think you just said, let's do a podcast, and I was on board with it. I was like, sure. I mean, I've always wanted people to hear my opinion, so finding a way that they could actually hear it instead of me just shouting at my wife all the time.
I'm sure she appreciates that too.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you're like, like, do people out there really care enough to listen to what I have to say?
Well, and does anyone else actually think about things the same way you do, right? Like you guys are kind of
I know for a fact lots of
specific and-
actually.
Or even if they think about it differently than me, that's okay.
Yeah. Or if
I
they're
don't wanna
just
be
thinking
with-
about it at all.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
I think that's the point, though, right? Like in the end, that's the sort of the point that you guys are trying to do, is that you guys are trying to start a conversation of this is one way of we're looking at it, or this is the way we see this portrayed. Like what else is out there? What else is what is your opinion out there?
The science fiction and the fantasy is a contrivance to kind of break those things open, right? So it's easier to talk to people about energy if you're talking about the abstract imaginary world with an energy crisis than you are to, like, if you start talking about the Alberta energy sector, for example, which we won't get into, but it's very charged with a whole bunch of things that have nothing to do with the dollar and cents and watts and megawatts of Alberta energy. It has a lot to do with people's, well, my job or this person or that person, you know. But whereas you talk about a theoretical, abstracted energy economy and an extracted ecology, people will behave more.
You can engage with it,
yeah,
without those strings.
Mhm.
That's awesome. So let me ask you, you guys. I had somewhere I was going to go with this. Yeah. I don't know what I totally lost my train of thought there.
Aaron just said, this is me not getting into Alberta's energy economy. So thank you, Aaron. It's hard for me too. I feel your pain.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me ask you guys, like, when you guys put your opinion out there, how much interaction do you guys get with other people out there? Like, do you guys have some people out there that will actually come back at you and say, hey, this is great, this is a good idea, or this is what I think of this thing?
We're very small.
Yes.
We're a very small podcast.
I think we've had a few interactions, but not a lot. Yeah, we'd love more. We would love to engage with more people.
Yeah, please ask
So
us.
listeners out there, if you are out there, this is a great podcast. Go check it out. I mean, if you want to listen to something a little bit more intellectual, man.
Electrical.
Yeah, exactly. It's electrifying. Go check this out. Like, it's a great podcast to listen to. I've been listening to quite a few of the episodes, and I'm loving it. It's an absolutely joy to listen to. You guys are fantastic. I love the way you guys banter back and forth. I did want to ask you guys, because you guys were talking about this. I finally figured it out what I was going with this. You guys talk about science fiction and fantasy. Let me ask you guys. So the economy of science fiction, something that is not yet here, how does that relate to something that is now and where we are in today? How do you guys see science fiction affecting us as a society nowadays?
Do you want to go?
Okay, so I mean, science fiction is always, it's an imagination of what could be, right? And it's always based on what we have now, and how we get to where that future is. So it's taking something that we experience in the world today, whether that's an energy crisis or climate change or interstellar or intrastellar travel, and saying what could happen with this. And it changes the setting, and it has a conversation about it. So New York 2140 is all about climate change, and that a lot of people know that there are problems with the climate right now, and we don't seem to be doing enough to address those problems. It's exacerbating, and scientists are telling us all the time, look, there's a problem. And a lot of people are saying, wow, this is a really big problem. But
I do not want to think about it.
yeah, and then they don't do anything about it. And so New York 2140 says, okay, look, the problem got really bad and we don't have a choice. We have to do something. And it gives us an option about what we can do. So it's sort of it's a political choice. Everything in science fiction and fantasy is political because it's imagining how things could be, and it's a radical reimagining of our world today. Mm-hmm. So that's it's having a conversation about something that we're experiencing and just changing the setting and changing the characters and saying, let's talk about this thing. Here's what I think might happen if we don't fix this or if we don't change this.
So do you think, kind of based on where our society's at today, that there's any possibility we could end up in kind of a Star Trek utopian society one day?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. 100%. There are Canada is actually a really, I think, a fantastic example for this. But then also like the typical examples of Nordic countries, right? But anytime you have this sort of social democracy where we're proposing that everyone deserves to have a standard of living, right? I think almost everybody in Canada, I know some people who disagree with me on this, but everybody deserves sort of a basic standard that we say, you cannot fall below this level, or we'll pop you back up to that level, right? Whether it's through government programs or whatever, right? We make sure that everyone has a certain standard of living. I think all that Star Trek has done, and this is really great, it just has said, well, the standard is not like subsistence. You can make rent and make food. The standard is you can have anything you want. Mm-hmm. And that's what they've said. The basic standard of living is that you shouldn't have to make hard choices about whether to, buy a video game or buy food. You can have both. And that's completely acceptable. Spend time in the holodeck. You can still hit the replicator on the way out.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess it helps when you have technology such as replicators where.
Well, yeah. But you don't need replicators. This is the thing. I mean, replicators are also very reliant on hard to get dark matter, but that's neither here nor there. I think fundamentally, I agree with Marshall that like the way we do things it's doable. It's fixable. All of this can be fixed with the tools we have presently. The thing we need to renegotiate is our relationship to property. And wealth and its distribution within society. Yeah. That needs to be altered in order to create an environment that's conducive to these changes that we need. And where I think the place where Marshall and I differ is that I am more skeptical about our capacity to get there.
Yeah, especially when like the states have somebody like Donald Trump leading them.
I mean, yes. Donald Trump was elected, but immediately after he was elected, there was a whole bunch of people who went, oh, wow, what have we done?
Yeah. Not way more people. Like we're not going to try to get into too much of Donald Trump here. Well, but we do have to go. We do. Capitalist. Yeah. But I mean, if we even look back at socialist societies in general, what typically happens is the capacity of someone rising higher than they should, right? Those societies where it has good intention, there's always someone who is out there to take advantage of that system in some way or another. And yeah, you're right. The whole thing about property is something that we'd have to think of, and wealth distribution. And
having a singular person who says, "I have all the money now, and no one else can have any," is also not a solution.
Yeah,
to that,
and that's typically what has happened so far. And that's
that's another question for another time, I suppose. Yeah. But I mean, the thing is, unfortunately, as with everything, the prospect facing us is extremely unsexy, because one day somebody could make a mistake, or a combination of factors could provoke a nuclear war that would end all life on Earth. Mm-hmm. And we are extremely uncomfortable with that fact.
So you think we're more likely to get to World War III and end life as we know it than we are to get to utopia as a planet.
I don't know. You know, I mean, I don't know if thinking that way is helpful as much as we are resonating on a very deep level right now. It's not. We need to try we need to try for the better option.
Yeah.
Because to do otherwise is to collapse into nihilism and despair.
All right. Well, that sounds fantastic. That's a great future that we all look forward to. Where can people look forward to listening to your show or finding you guys wherever on the web?
Yeah, so our web address is androidsandassets.ca, and that'll give you links to the show. You can also just find us straight through
our website.
I just gave the website.
Oh, fuck.
We're on Google Play, iTunes, podcasts, Stitcher.
If you want us to mail you burn CD, you just need to tell us. We're willing to do a lot of things right now.
$5.95 for shipping.
Yeah.
It's like we will drive it over in our car. We will hand you. Please,
we will give you a live version of it. We'll memorize what we said and perform it for you.
I would appreciate that.
I am putting this out there. If someone wants to host us for a house show, like have us over, have some friends over, we will do that for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not?
With no consultation of my creative.
You can also, and I think this is for Aaron more than anyone right now. We're on Twitter at AssetDroid. And I would love to talk to you more about post-scarcity economies.
Yeah, please, Aaron.
And we're also on Instagram at AssetDroid. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I highly encourage everyone who listens to this podcast to go out and check out your guys' as well, and do that. So we are going to switch paces here for a moment. We're going to talk a little bit about our wonderful sponsors. And then we're going to go into some of the events that are happening in and around our city. So stay tuned. All right. So the Northern Nerdcast is a proud member of the Alberta Podcast Network, powered by ATB. And being a part of the network, we also have a wonderful event that is happening coming up right away that I'd love to share with everybody. And that is Pod Summit 2018. And if you guys are interested in podcasting, or you have a podcast, or you're pod curious, Trina doesn't like when I say that, but it is podcast curious. Go and check this out. So it's happening over at CKUA Radio on Saturday, May 5th from 8:30 to 3:30. And this is a conference for anyone who is interested in podcast, period. And it's going to be a great time. They're going to be giving away Adobe Creative Cloud memberships, microphones from Shure, and a whole bunch more stuff. I know that the stuff that they've been getting the last little while has been phenomenal. Like they have that Shure. I was talking earlier about that Shure mic that I want. They're giving that out. Definitely.
That sounds awesome.
I really want.
Plan an elaborate heist.
How do we get tickets if we're interested in going to the Pod Summit?
So you guys can go to Eventbrite, and you guys can check out. Just look up Pod Summit, and you will find tickets there. And this is happening on May 5th. From 8:30 to 4:30, and this is happening at the CKUA building, so in Edmonton. Yeah, so go check that out. Pod Summit 2018. I was going to say 2015 for some reason. That's totally wrong. Don't go 2015, 2018. All right. Okay, so we got a bunch of other events that are happening up in the city here that I'd love to share with you. And all these events are on our wonderful calendar. If you guys go to northernnerdnetwork.com/upcoming events, or just go to our website, northernnerdnetwork.com, and click on that tab that says upcoming events. You will find us. You find all the wonderful events there. So the first one I'd like to talk about is Gobfest, which is happening on April 14th, which is it this Saturday?
That would be this weekend, yeah.
It's this weekend.
Weekend.
What?
The weekend coming
This
up.
weekend coming up. So if you are into board games, this is happening April 14 and 15. And it is happening at the Alberta Avenue Community Center. Tickets are available at gobfest.ca. And go and check that out. It's great. We've covered them quite a few times. We love them. They're fantastic people. It's always a great time. If you're into any kind of board games, go check that out. It is happening right away. So go and sign up. Happening on April 17th now is the Variant Editions Action Comics number 1000 of the Action Comics. If you guys don't know what Action Comics is, that's the Superman comic that has been around forever, and they're actually done 1,000 issues. So, and that is going to be happening. They're doing a big midnight release party. So this is going to be exciting. Go check that out, and it's happening on Variant Edition, and this is happening on April 17th from 11:30 to 12:30. So if you're into comics, especially action comics like Superman, this is definitely one to go check out. It's for the ages. Since 1938. Yep. Jurassic Park, Lego and Trivia Night. And
Lego
this is
trivia, or
like,
is the trivia about Jurassic Park?
I'm
Lego?
guessing no. It might be.
Trivia
never know.
only about Jurassic Park Lego.
You don't get no. This is welcome to Jurassic Park Night at MKT, where you'll come for the trivia and Lego building and leave with your Lego set. And prize if you got a killer knowledge of Jurassic Park. So I'm guessing they have some sort of prize that they. It's gonna be exciting. I love Lego. I love Jurassic Park.
Do you? 'Cause
I love dates.
Lego now.
This is a date night thing. And this is something to go and check out. This is happening at MKT Beer Market on April 18th from 6:30 to 9:30. Tickets are available on Eventbrite. So go and check that one out. Again, if you go to our website at nerdnetwork.com, you'll find some more information about that event as well. Moving along, we have Tabletop Day. I don't actually know when the actual Tabletop Day, but this one is happening at Coining Stamp. I know that other people are doing other events, but I'm not sure 100%. Can you please look that up?
Pretty sure it's.
It might be the 21st. So I know there's a whole bunch of events that are going to be happening in and around the city for International Tabletop Day. So definitely go check that out. And it is a fantastic event. I want to also mention on April 21st, there is a casual cosplay skate at West Edmonton Mall. So if you are a cosplayer and you like skating and you want to do those two things together with other people who like skating and cosplaying, this is your chance to do all of that at once. It's great. It's fantastic. So plus it's at West Edmonton Mall. So, and this is going to be happening on April 21st from 1 o'clock to 6. And it's just one of those times where there's general tickets are $12. Rentals are $6 if you don't have skates. Helmets are free, and skate sharpening is $5.
Tabletop Days is the 28th.
It's the 20. That's what I thought.
It's usually during the Calgary Expo.
Awesome.
Which is also coming up.
It is also coming up, but it's not yet.
It's not yet.
YEG D&D is coming up first. Before that, which is happening on April 21st. This is Escape to the Eye of the Night, and this is happening at the Grindstone Theater. Tickets are at grindstonetheater.ca, and it is, it's happening from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock on April 21st. And so if you guys like D&D, and you like a good sort of improv night of dungeon crawling mystery, who knows, shenanigans, I tell you, it is a good chance to go and check that out. I know a friend of ours, she will be in the show, I believe. Glenna will be in there. So go and check that out. It's going to be fantastic. Then we're gonna talk about the Calgary Expo.
Okay.
Now, have you guys heard of the Calgary Expo?
Us?
Yeah, yes.
I'm talking to you guys now.
Yes. We have the I have left my house. So yes, I've heard of the Calgary Expo. I've seen a bus.
It's this weird thing. I know it's super small. Yeah, the Calgary Expo is happening. They got all the big name stars like Jeff Goldblum.
Jason Momoa.
Yeah, they got.
Gonna go tell him what his mantra is. Jeff Goldblum.
What?
Oh, nothing. I shouldn't be making Woody Allen references in this climate anyway.
There's a lot of different guests that they will have at the show. I know a lot of the people from Back to the Future are going to be at this one, including
Not Michael J. Fox.
not Michael J. Fox, but Christopher Lloyd.
He canceled.
He had to. Yeah, sadly, he did cancel. That's right. He was going, but yeah, he had to cancel. Sadly, but we do have pretty much the whole entire cast of that, and we also have Carrie. I don't know how you say his name.
Elweiss. There's the Princess Bride.
From the Princess Bride. Yeah. It's gonna be exciting.
There's
So
actually quite a lot of people.
there is a lot of people this year. Yeah. So it's definitely something to go check out. It's gonna be a great time. We're gonna be there. I'm gonna try to do my best to be there. I know Trina will be there. She'll definitely be there. She'll be talking to a lot of people out there, talking to you guys, you fine folks out there, listening to the show, doing some awesome stuff down there, doing some panels, I believe. Who knows? We don't know. We'll find out soon enough, I guess. So go and check that out. Calgary Expo is happening. And then we got Intrigue Con. If you like RPGs and you like to come and hang out with me, I'm going to be doing a Star Wars RPG during the Intrigue Con, which is happening on May 4th and 5th. Go to intriguecon.com for more information on tickets and all that kind of stuff to register for this event. It's going to be a fantastic time. I know I'm registered, so I'm going to go and play some other RPGs that weekend, and just it's going to be awesome. I'm going to leave my wife again. I'm gonna go to Lloyd's Minister. I'm gonna spend all the time in Lloyd's Minister. I'm gonna come home and I'm gonna leave her again for RPGs. It's gonna be great. She's gonna love me so much. So yeah, that's gonna happen May 4th and 5th. Also on May the 5th, we do have Free Comic Book Day.
Yes.
And this is happening at your
favorite comic book store.
At your favorite comic book store. So this is happening at Variant Edition, Happy Harbor.
Probably Warp One. We've never gone, but I'm sure
Warp One has one. There's the public library.
Spruce Grove.
The Spruce Grove Public Library. There's all the Edmonton ones too, I believe, have some sort of free comic book day awesomeness. So go support your local your comic book store, and go buy some stuff, and go and get some free comics. It's gonna be awesome. It's always a great time. I love Free Comic Book Day.
It looks like when you leave me, Aaron's available.
I know. I see that. You guys can go play VR together or something.
Yeah, he does have prettier toys than you.
He does have prettier toys than I do. All right, that is it. That is all. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me, Marshall and Steve, for with no last names.
Can one of you be androids and the other be?
Yeah, so Marshall Android and Steve Asset.
There you go.
I like it. I like it a lot.
That's the way it goes now. So go check out their show. Where can people find you guys once again?
Androidsandassets.ca. Probably the best place.
Awesome.
Thanks.
You guys can find us all over the web as well. And I want to thank everyone out there for watching and or listening to this show. And I'll see you guys on the next one.
Struggle on.
Thanks very much for having us. We really, really appreciate this.
Northern Nerdcast. Northern Nerdcast is a proud member of the Alberta Podcast Network, powered by ATB. Check out their website at albertapodcastnetwork.com. For all things geeky and nerdy, including all of our social media platforms, go to northernnerdnetwork.com. Thanks again, and we appreciate your support.